Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 334 of McRae Live. The date today is Tuesday, May the 27th, 2025, 7:11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. My name is Dave McRae, coming to you live from the Voice Man Studios in Toronto, Canada. And tonight it is part deux of Horror Hot Takes. What are your horror hot takes? Tell me the best ones you've got. I want to hear them. Make and let them be real now. Don't fake it. Just tell me exactly how you feel. This is your opportunity to tell the world. No, I think that movie's a piece of shit. No, I think that movie's amazing. I don't give a frog's fat ass what you think, you son of a bitch. I love it. I hate it. This is your opportunity. Tell me tonight. I want to hear it tonight, ladies and gentlemen. One more time. Come on, you sons of bitches. Your opportunity to tell me your horror hot takes. It could be movies, it could be characters, it could be scenes, it could be trilogies, quadrilogies, remakes, requels, sequels, bequels, schnequels, lequels, fequels, chequels, rockwells, tequels, soquels, mequels, jequels, habluquels, fequels, rapocels, niglaglos, brutagaradis, it could be anything. It could be anything tonight, ladies and gentlemen. This is it. Let's get it going. Episode 334 of McRae Live. It's amazing. I've done 334 of these, or 333 of these things. We're going to check it out tonight. All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 334 of McRae Live. My name is Dave McRae, and last week's show that we did, Horror Hot Takes, was a good show. It was a lot of fun, and I felt like, we could have kept going, and I felt like, you know what, maybe we need a part two, a chapter two, a part deux, in this line of horror hot takes. Now, again, they can be movies, they can be characters, scenes, whatever. In the world of horror, what are your horror hot takes? There is no judgment here. This is your opportunity to tell me, to tell the world, listen, I don't like it. I don't like it. I think it's a piece of crap. A piece of crap. Or you're on the other side of the coin. You're like, listen, I don't understand why people think this is a piece of crap. I really don't get it. I think this is amazing. I think this is amazing. I don't get it. You think it's a piece of crap? What is wrong with you? This is your opportunity to tell me tonight. I want to know. I want to know what it is, because there's a lot of people out there that they're afraid. They're afraid. And I asked a viewer of mine or I didn't ask them. They sent me some of their hot takes. And this was a DM that I got after last week's show. And they sent me a DM with some of their hot takes. I said, do you mind if I read some of these on the show next week? I'm thinking about doing a part deux. And they were like, yeah, no problem. So here we go. Let me see. These are some of their hot takes. This comes to us from Ryan. Hello, Ryan. Nice to see you. This is crazy. All right. Now, will you agree with these? I don't know, but here we go. Scream 2 is better than the original Scream. Scream 2 is not just better, way better than the original Scream. That's according to Ryan. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003, the remake is way better than the original. Dr. Sleep is better than The Shining. Hey, these are Ryan's. He wasn't able to get these in last week. Here's a big one. This might be, Ryan, you might be showing your age here, perhaps. But anyway, Halloween H2O is better, not just better, way better than the original Halloween. Ooh, I can already hear everybody go. Final Destination. Now, I'm not a big auteur no, not auteur, a big aficionado, I should say, when it comes to the Final Destination franchise. I've only seen like the first couple, admittedly. I hear the new ones are pretty good. I got a lot of catching up to do. But nonetheless, he says Final Destination 2 is better than is better than the original Final Destination. Is that true? I don't know. The Conjuring 2 is better than The Conjuring. This is what he says. And then he says Evil Dead 2013 is better than Army of Darkness. He's got a long list here, folks. He said Friday the 13th Part 5 is better than the original Friday the 13th, which I think you probably have a lot of fans there. And then he said Hereditary is better than The Exorcist. I love Hereditary, but I don't know about that. Ryan, I really appreciate it. Thank you for sending me these last week, and my apologies that you missed the stream. But here you are. Does anybody agree? I don't know. This is your opportunity, folks. Your opportunity to get in the game. What are your horror hot takes? What are they? I want to know, ladies and gentlemen. Eddie Chase sends in $1.99 and says, Gale should have died in Part 2, and the Core 4 sucks. Thank you for the super chat, Eddie. That is his horror hot take. Does anybody agree? Disagree? I'm not really sure. Tanner Bowles sends in $4.99, says, my hot take is I think Tim Curry played Gomez Adams better than Raul Julia. Okay. Yeah, I got to think about that a bit. I'm not as familiar. I know, obviously, the parts and, the actors you're talking about. Okay, all right. Is that a horror hot take, though? Is that a hot take? I don't know if that's a hot take. Maybe it is. Maybe it is a hot take. Just a refresher for some people, hot take is something that is like that most people would disagree with. Right? Like saying, like for instance, I actually think now this is not horror, but it's a good example of what a hot take would be. I think The Rise of Skywalker is with all its problems, I still think it's a better Star Wars movie than The Last Jedi. That's a hot take because as much as fans hate The Last Jedi, for whatever reason, Star Wars fans think The Rise of Skywalker is worse, and I absolutely do not. But that's a hot take, you know what I mean? Saying something like the original Halloween is a atrocious, awful movie. Well, that's a hot take. Is this a hot take? I don't know, Tanner, but you might know better than me. Movie Chat and More, Part 2, £5. Thanks, Richard says, Danielle Harris was a better child actor than Drew Barrymore. Jaws 4 is underrated. H2O was better than all David Gordon Green's movies put together. I don't know if I agree with that, Richard. I don't know if I agree with that. Danielle Harris was a better child actor than Drew Barrymore. Yeah, maybe. I might agree with that. Jaws 4 is underrated. I completely disagree with that. I think it's a pile of crap. Halloween H2O was better than David Gordon. Well, again, what do you mean by better, right? What do you mean by better? It's just a better movie overall? I don't know. I'm going to disagree on that. Is it Dashown? Cheney? Is that how you say that? Dashown? If I'm butchering it, my apologies. You know who you are. Sends in $9.99. Thanks, buddy. Says, Laurie is a terrible final girl in the first two movies. Terrible. It's a hot take. Resurrection is entertaining because of Busta Rhymes. Exorcist is overrated. Oh, but love from Illinois, Dave. Love from Illinois. Hello, Illinois. I don't know, folks. Do you agree with that? I know a lot of people really, you know what? You're not alone in that. You're not alone in thinking that Laurie, I think what it comes down to, too, is I think Jamie Lee Curtis, it can come across as a bit pretentious and a bit condescending and obviously with her trauma. And so I think the character of Laurie Strode has sort of overstayed its welcome. But I think if you look at, but you know what? Some people think that, right? She ran in the first movie. She was running in the second movie. Some people have pointed out that Laurie never really fought back. She did when it mattered most, when her life was completely, in jeopardy. But she never turned the tables, like how, Heather Langenkamp, Nancy Thompson, turned the tables and brought the fight to Freddy, right? Sidney Prescott will often bring the fight to Ghostface. Laurie Strode is always in a situation, and this is true, I mean, to a certain degree, and this doesn't necessarily make her a bad final girl, but in terms of, because you have to remember, Laurie Strode was one of the very first final girls, right? And the term final girl wasn't even a thing when Halloween 1 and 2 came out, right? And so, the archetype of a final girl, what a final girl became, the archetype of what we know, in a lot of ways, that sort of running, retreating, and then fighting back became sort of part of the arc of a final girl. But you could point to Jess Bradford in the original Black Christmas that predates Halloween by 4 years, who was one of horror's first final girls. And she didn't really, that was kind of like, I mean, her character was independent and strong, right? But in a lot of ways, she was reactive as well. She ran and then fought back when she had to. Laurie, she didn't really bring the fight to Billy necessarily, right? And she ended up murdering her, boyfriend by accident. Whoops. Sorry, honey. And Laurie Strode is sort of similar in that sense. It's one of the reasons why people love Halloween H2O so much, is because by the time Halloween H2O came out, which was in 1998, the term final girl was in the pop culture zeitgeist. And so, and we had many films prior to that illustrated sort of that, now that archetype of a final girl, which was, sweet, innocent, virginal, again, generally speaking, that's sort of the archetype, kind of sweet, retreating. Oh my God, I got to run. But then, realizes I got to fight back. You know what I mean? And takes the fight to them, right? When they don't have to. Laurie in part 1 fights back when she's, really she only fights back when she's cornered in the closet, right? I mean, she's in this 2 by 8 closet. I mean, what else is she going to do, right? She fights back. She fights back in the hospital, but only when she thinks Dr. Loomis is dead and she's got the gun. I'm like, oh, and she fights back there. And so she doesn't really take the fight to Michael necessarily until you get to Halloween H2O. And then we do say, my God, I mean, she's taken the fight to him, right? And so that's why a lot of people really like that. They like that arc. They like that trajectory. So I think, in retrospect, I think looking at, this is really long-winded, what else is new? In retrospect, looking at the Laurie Strode arc in 1 and 2, I can understand why some people might feel a little overrated, because it's not really that final girl arc, and that archetype isn't really fully realized, really. And so I can understand that. Exorcist is overrated. I disagree. But again, it depends on what you're measuring. But good list. Eddie Chase, $1.99 says, James, woo, where'd you go, Eddie? Where'd you go? Hang on a sec here. James Jude Courtney is better than Nick Castle. Woo! Hot take. Does anybody agree? That James Jude, hey Jude, does anybody think that James Jude Courtney is better than Nick Sandcastle? Let us know. Michael King just sends in £2. Thanks, Michael. Appreciate that. Let me see here. Movie Chat and More Part 2. Michael Keaton is the most versatile actor ever. Richard, come on. Are you just saying this stuff, Richard? The most versatile actor ever? Come on, Richard. I don't believe you, Richard. I don't believe you. Eddie Chase, final girls, quote unquote, should only have 2 to 3 movies max. Interesting. Final girls should only have 2 to 3 movies max. Well, I mean, Heather Langenkamp sort of did, right? She had the first one and the third one. And then so did, what's her face? Played by 2 different actresses, of course, but in Elm Street 3 and then Elm Street 4. What the hell was her name again? Why is it blanking on me? Anyways, and sort of, she was kind of replaced by Lisa Wilcox, right? And so, look, there's an argument to be made that horror movies, slasher movies themselves should have 2 or 3 movies and that's it. But that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Let me see here. So I'll make sure I'm not missing anything here. Let me see. No, I don't believe I am. Okay, just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Dashaun again, $1.99 says Curse and Remake were the only scary Michaels. Ooh, interesting. I disagree. But you know what? You're not alone in that thought. A lot of people do really like The Curse of Michael Myers. They like it for its atmosphere. They think it's a better portrayal of Michael, even though he's, been eating a few cheeseburgers and has a more of a grayish, uniform, more grayish coveralls. You're not alone in thinking that. There's a lot of people that do like that. And then and the remake, Curse and Remake. Which remake? Are you talking about Rob Zombie's Halloween 07, David Gordon Green's 2018? You have to tell me which one you are referring to. Jacob Corntho says, hot take, the third act of Barbarian borders on atrocious. The clunky exposition from the homeless fella, the water tower, the lady being practically invisible, etc. Just awful. I've only seen Barbarian once, so I will have to see it again in order to be able to comment extensively on that. But I remember not disliking it. And I've sort of talked about what I would have loved to have seen from Barbarian before. Josh Stevens, $4.99. Thank you, Josh. It says, I'd rather see a trick or treat, not trick or treat, sequel than a new Halloween film. One is a film about Halloween, one slasher that happens to take place on, and one a slasher that happens to take place on Halloween. That is very, very true. Halloween, the Halloween that we know with Michael Myers has never been about Halloween itself. And that's why, in a lot of ways, when you read the original novel or, comics and obviously they tried to explore some of that in The Curse of Michael Myers and they always try to bring the Halloween season and paganism and, rituals and Gaelic festivals and, what they try to bring sort of the roots and the inception and the nucleus of the Halloween season into the fold, which kind of ironically waters it down. I think, again, and I don't want to beat this, I don't want to make this or beat this into oblivion, but because of the foundation for which Halloween and the Halloween universe was created on the inception of the unknown, then yeah, I mean it makes sense that you'd want to stay in that sort of ambiguous territory. When it comes to, but you're right, Trick or Treat, which I haven't seen in a long time, is more about Halloween. And so interesting. Look, I mean, you're not alone. Look, there are a lot of people that are just itching to have another Halloween movie. I'm not. I could totally wait until the 50th anniversary. And even then, like, I think for me, and again, I'm not going to go off on this, but I'll just say this. I think for me, and I say this not as somebody who doesn't love Halloween. I'm a big Halloween. I mean, you guys know me. Come on, right? I mean, it's my favorite horror movie of all time. I say this as a fan that I'm content. Like, I really don't need to see anything else because I don't feel like there's anything left untold. We have different versions. We have different masks. We have the good, the bad, and the ugly. Like, of course I'll be there day one, and of course I'll be interested. And that's not to say that they could make something great, but I think that you've exhausted the character. I think you've exhausted the story. I think you've done everything you can do. And I'm about quality and not quantity. And so I really, like, at this moment in time, I couldn't care less whether they made anything Halloween or Michael Myers ever again. That doesn't mean, now, that's not saying that I'm like, I don't say that in a mean way. I just say that, like, you've fulfilled your job. You've given us everything. And we're just going to do the same thing over again? Like, I'm just thinking, like, wait a while. Like, let it marinate. Wait. I mean, I know you want to strike while the iron's hot, and Malik isn't getting any younger, and Halloween and the franchise is their bread and butter, and the money. Like, I get all that. I do. And from a business perspective, I get it. From a fan perspective, and I just speak about it from this kind of fan, I'm just like, yeah, I'm good. Like, I don't need anything. Like, it's okay. We don't need to, hey, they're remaking it again, and it's going to take place in 1988 instead of 1978, and it's going to go 2003 and it's going to be Michael, and he's going to kill his sister, and it's going to go Judith, and it's going to escape, and 15 years later, he's going to come back, and it's going to be Dr. Lewis. Oh, Michael, where are you? I'm just like, why? So we're just doing it again? Yeah. Hey, how are we doing it again? Maybe wait a while. Wait a generation. Wait a generation. You know, I don't know. But hey, you know what? I'll be there day one. I'll be there. I'll be there. We will see what they will do. We will see what they will do. But yeah, there's lots of room for sure. Michael King, 5 pounds, 5 euros? No, 5 pounds. Thank you, Michael. Says, hot take, Freddy's Nightmares from 1988 is actually quite good. It's low budget, but got a certain charm to it I really dig. You know, I haven't watched Freddy's Nightmares since the 80s. And I remember at the time, my mom was married to, well, they weren't married at this time, but she was seeing another man because my parents had divorced in the early 80s. And so my stepdad, for all intents and purposes. And it's kind of funny. My stepmom was like this and my stepdad was like this, but neither of my parents were like this. It's kind of weird. So my stepmom was like, oh my God, you can't watch horror movies because it's like, if you watch Friday the 13th, it's that. And then the next thing you know, you want to go off and become Charles Manson or something. You know, like you're going to become this axe murderer. Like a lot of parents felt that way, right? My parents didn't, but my stepmom kind of did. And then my stepdad was the same way. You know, my mom was like, yeah, go watch Freddy's Nightmare. But my stepdad was like, that filth, that horror filth, that filth. Anyway, so I always remember it being an issue, trying to watch Freddy's Nightmares. But I think the thing for kids like me in the 80s, it was really into Freddy's Nightmares, I actually lost interest pretty quick because Freddy wasn't in it. I mean, he was in it. He was in some of them. And obviously he was like in the prologue and the epilogue and, did you like that? But it was really just like it was like an outer limits, like a Twilight Zone or like and just hosted by Freddy. And yes, he was in a few episodes. I get it. But overall it had nothing to do with Freddy. And, now, like to your point, now, if I go back and watch them now, I bet you I'd really get into them. I bet you there's actually some not bad episodes. But when you're like 9 years old, or 8 years old, you want Freddy Krueger. That's why you're watching. You want Freddy Krueger. Where's Freddy? What's going on? What is this? What is this? Where is Freddy fucking Krueger? That's what you want as a 9-year-old. You're not old enough. You're not wise enough to be able to be like, oh, yeah, no, this is like this. This is kind of cool. This is like an anthology. These are like creepy, scary stories about Elm Street and Freddy's your host. Ha 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 ha. Ooh, let's see what's happening down here. And it's like, oh, yeah, I get it now. Yeah, well, hey, bro. No, you're 9 years old. You're sitting there with a fucking, sadness on your face going, this sucks. Where's Freddy? What is this about Bob and Lucy, Everstein and their little quiet home? Where's Freddy, man? But you're right. Now I bet you I bet you think they're all right. They're all right. So I don't know if that's a hot take. Maybe it's not. I don't know. Movie Chat More says Keaton was a crazy, funny in Dream Team. Was crazy funny in Dream Team. Batman, Beetlejuice, The Tenant, from Hell in Pacific Heights. If that's not versatile, what is? Well, I think it's just, yeah, of course, he's a great actor, but I wouldn't say he's the greatest, most versatile actor in the history of motion pictures. I mean, there's lots of actors that have, done comedy and done drama. I mean, look at Robin Williams. I mean, watch him in Good Morning Vietnam, and then go watch Awakenings with Robert De Niro. Or Patch Adams, or Good Will Hunting, or some sort. I mean, he's incredibly versatile, right? And then, and then watch him in Mrs. Doubtfire, and then, I get what you're saying. I just wouldn't say that Michael Keaton is the greatest, most versatile actor of all time. To say that he's versatile, yeah, I agree with that. Sure, you got, Mr. Mom, and then Batman. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, for sure. But the greatest, most versatile actor in the history of cinema, I would not agree with that. But that's just me. Let me see here. Dean Renner, what's going on, Dean? Been a member for 6 months. Appreciate that, Dean. Says, horror hot take. Wolfman from this past January is better than it gets credit for. Well, listen, I mean, Dean, you and I howl to the moon on the same nights. I mean, Dean and I howl to the moon every Thursday at midnight, because I absolutely agree with you. I talked about this, in last week's show, that I agree. I think I do not understand. I mean, I do understand. I just think it is hyperbolic. It is exaggerated to say that Wolfman, directed by Leigh Whannell, I mean, listen, if you didn't like it, that's okay. If you're like, it wasn't really a cup of tea. It's kind of expecting this. It was okay. It's fine. There were people saying it is a catastrophic dumpster fire. It is a failure of epic proportions. It is one of the worst god-awful. I'm like, I can't take you seriously, man. Like, I mean, Wolfman is a catastrophic dumpster. If Wolfman is a catastrophic dumpster fire, what's Halloween Resurrection? What's Black Christmas 2019? I mean, come on. Like, you can't, the hyperbolic response is incredible. I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but like I said, I think one of the things that turned people off is they were expecting werewolf instead of Wolfman. And now I know that's a matter of semantics, and some movies and stories do blur the lines between the two. But, to be very specific, An American Werewolf in London, it's in the title as well, but An American Werewolf in London is a werewolf howling to the moon, shape-shifting, suddenly you're a man and then you're a werewolf, then you're a man, then you're a werewolf. Whereas Wolfman is a bit of a different thing, right? When you become a wolf man, you don't necessarily go back to being just a man. You're just, that's it. Again, I understand that throughout cinema and throughout mythology and lore that lines have been crossed and blurred, and some wolf man stories have played in a little werewolf sandbox, and some werewolf stories have played in a little wolf man sandbox. But at its core, at its nucleus, Wolfman from 2025, a few months ago, is purely a wolf man story. And it is about that hybrid sort of thing. And I think Leigh Whannell is a terrific horror director anyway. I mean, I thought his Insidious Chapter 3 was way better than it had any right being. I thought his Invisible Man was one of the best studio-released horror movies of the last 20 years. I mean, it's a fantastic film. His Upgrade is terrific. And so Wolfman comes along, and I'm like, yeah, it's got great mood, great atmosphere, the scene in the tree with the truck and everything, and just that slow kind of build up to the reveal of what he looks like. And I thought the performances, especially the dynamic between the two leads, I thought their relationship was a bit cold. I talked about this in my thoughts on it. I didn't really connect with them emotionally the way I wanted to. But other than that, I thought a lot of the ways that Whannell communicated and illustrated the what the Wolfman sees, what we see, how he sees us, and the insidious, no pun intended, the insidious downfall of the infection, I thought it was great. I walked out of the theater going, it wasn't the best horror movie I've ever seen in my life, but I thought it was good. Somehow I can't think, and maybe it's an age thing, but somehow I can't feel that in today's climate, everybody feels that when they go watch a movie, it has to change their life. It has to make them see, God himself. Or something. It's like movies are movies, and sometimes movies are going to be amazing, and they're going to touch you, and sometimes they're going to be, all right, it was pretty good. That was pretty good. That was all right. It was fun. It was pretty good. Very rarely, folks. Let's be honest. Let's truly be honest, right? Very rarely. Okay, now take all the social woke channels you watch and all the hyperbolic and all the craziness and all the just think about this really at a grassroots thing. Very rarely are movies the greatest things of all time and the worst pieces of shit you've ever seen in your life, right? Like really most movies are in the middle, right? Most movies are, hey, that was really good. Hey, that was okay. It was okay. Not, not that great. Like even not that great. They're not like catastrophic dumpster fires of epic proportions. The worst thing you've ever seen. But social media and the internet and online and the lack of nuance has made people just respond emotionally, and they don't really put thoughts into it. They just kind of respond and say it's crap or it's great. When really, most movies are neither amazing or shit. They're usually just kind of, I know this is subjective. I get it. I'm just saying. To say Wolfman was terrible is like, if you think Wolfman is genuinely a god-awful movie, I'm sorry, you've never seen a god-awful movie. If I had made that movie, I'd be damn proud. If I had made that movie, directed by Dave McRae, I'd be like, yeah, fucking right, man. That was great. That was good. It's good. What's wrong with people? But for whatever reason, people are like, oh, shit. It's shit. I'm just like, I can't take you seriously. That's just me. Thank you, Dean. Bernie Noonan sends in €2 and says, Freddy is the scariest in part 3 Dream Warriors. Ooh, okay. All right. Yeah, that might be a bit of a hot take. I disagree. I think he's the scariest in Freddy's Revenge. But I love it. And again, folks, if you're just joining us, this is your opportunity to let me know your hot takes. There's no judgment here. I mean, obviously, I'm going to give you my thoughts, but I do it in my typical theatrical way. I think it's wonderful if you love movies that others, don't like or hate movies that other people love, right? I mean, that's what it's all about, right? I mean, listen, like I said, I'm a huge Avatar fan. I love Avatar, and that's not the hip thing to say. I liked Barbie. That's not a hip thing to say. I mean, I'm not the demographic, but I mean, I walked out of it going, it was kind of funny. It was kind of fun. I had a good time. And so, there's no judgment here. So this is your opportunity. Tell me why you think these people are crazy. That's a great movie, man. Yeah, you're nuts, man. It's awful. It's awful. This is your chance. No judgment. Hiding behind a screen. Where else is it going to be more comfortable? Hiding behind a screen. Josh McKenna sends in $9.99, says, not sure if this is a hot take. It's more sci-fi than horror, but I would like to see a movie on UAP, UFO aliens taken seriously. Not sure how many people would want a super deep, serious take. Oh, I'm in agreement there. I don't know. Could be a hot take, but that's why I'm holding out hope for Steven Spielberg's new film that he's doing on this subject. I'm hoping it is... I mean, look, obviously you have to entertain your audience, but I'm hoping it is more Close Encounters, or I'll just say more philosophical than, pew, 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 Independence Day. I don't need to see an alien invasion movie. I want to see something that is deeper. I want to see something that is more philosophical. That's sort of where I am in my life. I mean, the house on Port Robinson Road is very much in that realm. And so, it's very much where I am in my life, and the kind of movies I want to see. It's not that those movies can't be fun. Alien invasion. Oh no, here they come. The big aliens with the big heads. Yeah, those are fun. But I want to see something deeper, philosophical, grander, and who better to do it than the greatest filmmaker of all time, Steven Spielberg. And I don't know if it's going to be good. I don't know. It's got a great cast. And he wanted to do this, and it's being marketed, or it's being covered as an event film. And event films don't come along too often. Well, I mean, they do, but they don't come along too often from Steven Spielberg anymore. So this could be classic Spielberg here, and I'm very excited about it. So I agree with you. I hope it is taken seriously and it's more philosophical and bigger picture, and I'm excited. I agree, Josh. I do. I agree. Brandon Collins says, I honestly cannot stand how ignorant some people are when commenting on films. Calling something garbage or trash just makes you instantly lose credibility and such shallow a criticism. It's true. And also, listen, I have no issues with people calling something, and I know you probably feel the same way, no issue somebody say, what, I think it's trash, I think it's garbage. If you can back up that claim, if you can say, listen, I think it's trash, and here's why I think it's trash, and you give me a laundry list that is well thought out, that is well articulated, that is perceptive, that is astute, that is knowledgeable, and that clearly communicates to me that you understand. You're going beyond your feelings. You understand why this didn't work structurally, narratively, the connective tissue to the continuity that came before, or whatever the case is, you get it. And I'm just like, yeah. I mean, I might not agree, but but this person has clearly been able to defend their garbage argument. where I lose, is just is the buzzwords, right? People glomming on to buzzwords, and you see that. I mean, it's echo chambers, right? And you can tell when somebody makes a comment and it's not an original thought, and it's just like, I think it's garbage. Why? Well, it's just this. Well, why is it garbage? Well, it's just because of the thing and the thing. Yeah, but that's what everybody's saying. Well, I agree. So you think it's garbage? It's just the thing. It's just like, yeah, but you gotta. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Oh, man. Hey, listen, it's all in good fun. If you think something's garbage, you think it's garbage. What am I going to say? It's garbage. It's garbage. Let me see here. Robert Holston says, this reminds me of the Seinfeld bit from a few years ago. Everything is either great or it sucked. Oh, listen, listen, I mean, if you follow me for any length of time, you know that I've been preaching that for years. I used to get made fun of when I would say things, I don't get so much anymore. Maybe these people have tuned out. I don't know. But I used to get made fun of when I would talk about nuance a lot. And now I think people are starting to realize, because it's seeped over into everyday life, whether it's politics, whether it's, news, whether it's, whatever the, happenings in the world, we start to realize that, wow, there's just no nuance anywhere. And now that I think movie fans are starting to see it in other parts of their daily life, they start to realize, yeah, I think Dave was right. There is almost a feeling of a coordinated effort to get rid of nuance and to black and white everything. And it's like, yeah, but that's not, nuance shouldn't be used as an excuse. I don't mean that. You should still be able to defend your positions, but very rarely is something black or white, and I mean, go back and watch my shows and my vids from 2018, 2017, 2019. I used to talk about this all the time. And you're seeing it. You do see it, right? Where people it's two extremes. I mean, if I said to you, if I gave a movie a 7.5 out of 10, we actually live in a world where people would think, oh, that's not that. What's wrong? What do you mean, what's wrong? If I made a movie that had 75% on Rotten Tomatoes, I'd be pretty fucking happy. I'd be like, 75% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's amazing. That's amazing. Especially if it's a horror movie, right? Because horror movies tend to trend a lot lower than that, right? 75, it's not certified. It's not certified. There you go. It's not certified fresh. But it's 75%, 200 people. That's amazing. I'd be, yeah, but 25% didn't like it. Who fucking cares? I mean, like at the end of the day, right? But we are so conditioned. I mean, listen, even when movies get like B cinema scores, I learned not too long ago that apparently a B cinema score apparently is not very good or something. I'm like, what? I mean, maybe it's because I was just a B student in high school. I don't know. So if I got a C or a B on anything, I was like, woohoo! I mean, maybe, I don't know. But I'm just like, it's not? Okay. Well, all right. I mean, I'd be happy with a B, but all right, So it's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. And that's not to say that there are not bad movies out there. That's not to say there are not amazing movies out there. And it is subjective at the end of the day, right? This is whether something resonates with you, whether you think something is great, including Wolfman. It is subjective at the end of the day. But I think when you instill some nuance, and I do truly believe that, the truth, generally speaking, lies in the middle. Most movies are neither, classics or garbage, right? Most movies you watch are good or, yeah. You know what I mean? It's pretty good. I mean, that's where most people live, right? You know what I'm saying? And then every now and then a special one comes along where it's like, wow, wow. You know what I'm saying? And then every now and then a special one comes along like the other way where it's like, whoa. You know what I mean? But most movies kind of live in the middle, kind of just, Anyway. Dashon says, I missed one. Okay, let me go back. Hopefully I'm saying your name right, buddy. My apologies. Here we go. $4.99. The Creeper could easily be in the top 4 if it wasn't for Victor and had a great story and budget for sequels. The Creeper. I'm not familiar. I think I know the one you're talking about, but I don't think I'm familiar with it. You're not talking about Creep, right? Creep? The Creeper? Creep? Anyway, I'll have to take a look. Could be a hot take. Let me see here. Just don't want to miss all these. Eddie Chase, $4.99. Thank you, Eddie. Says, Wes Anderson films come off as pretentious and weird for being weird. They all look the same, and everyone is cold. Well, I know that Darren from the Slaughtered Lamb would share your take. I don't think he likes the. I stand to be corrected, but I thought I heard him say something like that. I'm not a big fan of Wes Anderson films. I don't dislike. I don't hate them or anything, but yeah, stylistically, he's got a style. He's got a way about him, and a lot of auteurs can, and auteurs can. Not that he's a hardcore auteur, but I mean, he's got his thing, and sometimes writer directors, auteurs, they can come across as pretentious and condescending. It depends on the material and how avant-garde or internal it is. Is it a little too ambiguous? Is it a little too internal? Is it a little too, because there's a fine line. You can be ambiguous, but you don't want to be too ambiguous. And so, yeah, there's already people saying that about Robert Eggers. He's so pretentious. You look at The Witch and Nosferatu and The Lighthouse, and I'm just like, I get what they're saying. I don't agree with that necessarily, but I get what they're saying when they say that. And so, it's a bit of a fine line. But yeah, the Wes Anderson films, I've never really been a big fan of Wes Anderson films. I don't know if that's a hot take, but I would agree with you on that. Let me see here. Hardy1298 has retracted his comment. All right. Well, thanks for the super chat anyway, Hardy. I appreciate that. Josh McKenna, $9.99, says, hot take, Black Christmas over Halloween. Whoa. And Jess Bradford over Laurie. At the moment, I'm a little Halloweened out. That's, it is a hot take, but I think it's a hot take with, it is a hot take, but it's a hot take that has some, some substance to it, right? It's a hot take that you can defend. It's a hot take that not everybody's going to agree with, but it's a hot take that you can, make an argument for, we'll say. Daz agrees that Laurie disagree on Black Christmas over Halloween. Let me see here. Fads Ford's 29, been a member for 20 months. Amazing. Sends in a member chat. Thanks, buddy. Says, what's up, Dave? Great show. Thank you. You're right. Wolfman wasn't bad. I didn't think it was great. But I did watch it twice. I don't know if that's a hot take, but I think Christine is one of Carpenter's best films ever. You don't think, I don't know if it's no, I don't think that is. I don't think, usually I think people will refer to either The Thing or Halloween as Carpenter's best film. I think some Carpenter fans might even consciously, when they're discussing the best Carpenter movies or doing top 10 lists or whatever, they might even put The Thing at number 1, even though they bleed Halloween, simply because Halloween is so oversaturated and it is always out there. And it feels like the default thing to say that Halloween is John Carpenter's best movie. And there's an argument to be made that it is. But at the same time, I think some fans might just put The Thing, and you can do that because it's a great movie, at number 1, just to not put Halloween at number 1. I think not all fans, but I think some fans will put The Thing at number 1 over Halloween at number 2, simply for that reason. But I'm also a big fan of The Fog, and I think The Fog, although, not an amazing movie or anything, I think it's a good movie, and I think it's a creepy movie, and I think it's got a great soundtrack, and I think it's underrated. It's an underrated Carpenter movie, and it's not one that you see on a list of Carpenter films a lot. When people are doing rankings, you'll see The Thing, and you'll see Halloween for sure. They will either be number 1 or number 2, depending on how the person's feeling. You will see They Live. You will see, Escape from New York. And you will see Big Trouble in Little China. And usually those are the 5 that people circulate. Christine, you might see on there. The The Fog, I find, gets left off of there quite a bit. And I think The Fog is his at least top 3. The Thing, Halloween, The Fog, or Halloween, The Thing, The Fog, or Halloween, Fog, The Thing, or The Thing, Fog, Halloween. Like, I mean, I do. I think those are his 3 best movies, I would say. But then again, I haven't watched Escape from New York in a while either. And, you know, I got to watch those again. So I might feel differently as we move along. Move along. What's that from? All right, have I got all these super chats and the member chats? Let me just see here. I just want to make sure that I have member chat, hot take there. Josh McKenna. Yes. It looks like I have, ladies and gentlemen. That is good. Let me see here. Flick Symmetry says, here's a hot take. Brian Cox's portrayal of Hannibal Lecter in Manhunter, is it Manhunter or Mindhunter? Manhunter? Was better than Anthony Hopkins in Silence of the Lambs. In fact, I like Manhunter better. Bang! Woo! I could see that being a hot take. It certainly did not. Yeah, that what year was that? 86, 7, somewhere like that. I have not seen that movie. I don't even know if I've seen that movie, to be honest with you. I have to go back and check, but that's a hot take. Yeah, I can see that being a hot take for sure. Love it. Robert Holston says, my semi-hot take is that I think the final chapter is kind of overrated. If it is your favorite slasher, I won't argue. My issue is once Jason escapes from the morgue in the beginning, not a lot of locations. I see. So you would prefer that there were more locations. But so were there more locations in part 2 though? In part 3? I mean, they were all at the camp except for the convenience store in 3. And then part 6 is kind of, it's all at the camp, sort of, right? I guess you mean that it kind of jumps between the house where everybody is staying, the house where the Jarvises are. It's funny. I've and I respect it if that's how you feel. I don't think I've heard somebody say, not enough locations. Okay. But I mean, most of those early Friday the 13th movies were like that. They were, rinse and repeat, right? They were just kids at a camp. And you might have a few variations within the confines of that location, but they don't venture off too far, like a morgue or, something like that. But it's interesting. Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. If that's how you feel, that's how you feel. But yeah, there's so many. Do you guys think that Scream 2 is better than Scream? I mean, that was one of Ryan's hot takes. He said he feels Scream 2 is better than Scream by a long shot. Do you guys feel that? Let me know. I'd like to know if you guys do. There you go. Brandon's got it. Move along. Star Wars. Stormtrooper after being mind tricked by Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yes! Yes, Brandon. Yes! I love it. Move along. It's funny how you can just say that and instantaneously. And it's the cadence as well. I mean, if I just went, move along, you probably wouldn't know. Hey, what's this from? Move along. You maybe move along. You probably wouldn't know. But it's the fact that I went, move along, right? It's the cadence. And it's like, oh yeah, that's Star Wars, A New Hope. Whatever the hell that was. Warren Armour says, I remember there being some controversy surrounding Christine when that movie came out. I forgot why people got offended by the movie. I don't know. Was there? Maybe there was. There probably was. Who knows? I don't quite remember though, but you may be right. Let me see here. Let me scroll back and see what we've got. Wayne Gottke is here talking to Dean. Nikki K says, hot take. I liked Exorcist Believer. I love it and think it would have been so much better as a standalone. You know what? I agree with you. I did not think Exorcist Believer was a catastrophic dumpster fire. I don't think it's great. But again, I think it was, had it not been connected to the Exorcist franchise, or certainly that first movie, I think you're right. I think it probably would have played better, would have landed better. And I think it would have been, like, it's, as a standalone little creepy movie, it's all right, and the first half is a genuine, I love horror movies that create a mystery within the horror movie. That slow burn. Again, that's what, I don't want to give, I can't talk too much about The House on Port Robinson Road, but I love movies that an incident happens. There's an incident, right? Which usually happens in the, first act, either at the beginning of the first act or towards the end of the first act or what have you. And this incident sets off a chain of events. And not that Exorcist Believer was an elevated horror film, but I like it, especially in elevated horror films where it sets off a chain of events where there's a mystery and there's investigating and there's figuring out and what's going on and all this kind of stuff, which is usually your second act, right? I love things like that. And in Exorcist Believer, the first half of that movie was actually not that bad. It was actually pretty good, pretty tight, pretty strong. It was. It was creepy. We didn't know why they disappeared, what's going on there, but what's happening. But I think in a lot of ways, I don't think Exorcist Believer is an awful movie, but I don't think it is the movie that it needed to be. I am curious on what Mike Flanagan's going to do. We'll see. I don't know. I have high hopes for his Exorcist. Is it even a sequel? I don't even know if it's a sequel. But his Exorcist film, which I think, I don't think it's a sequel like how Exorcist Believer was, but it's a sequel in the sense that I think it lives in the same universe, but it's a different thing that's happening. So we'll see. We shall see. Oh, somebody said Jeepers Creepers. Jeepers Creepers. How'd you get those people? Next Gen says, hot take, I like Gremlins 2, the new batch, more than the original. I find it to be much more rewatchable and one of my favorite sequels. I have not watched Gremlins 2 in years. I mean, maybe since when it came out. I remember, I think it takes place in a building or something or whatever. I remember when it came out. I was actually fortunate to see the original Gremlins at the drive-in when it came out in 1984. I was young, obviously, but I remember seeing Gremlins at the drive-in, and I remember being enamored, and I really liked, I keep wanting to call him Spike, but his name is Stripe with the white mohawk. Oh, I thought he was great. I thought he was cool. I like Stripe. Maybe I called him Spike. That's why it's in my head. But, and then Gremlins 2, the new batch came along. What year was that? 89, 91, somewhere in there. And I don't remember disliking it, but I don't really remember too much about it. So I'd have to watch it again because it has been a long time. It has been a long time. Let me see here. Tom Hungarian says, hot take, when they are fresh, McDonald's fries. McDonald's has the best fries. McDonald's fries are very good. But what's very good is the salt they put on them. It's the salt. Yeah, no, they are good. Yes, even better than Checkers. I don't know what Checkers is. Rayleigh's, whatever the fuck it's called nowadays. I don't know. You guys in the States have so many different fast food chains. It's unbelievable. And I have to say this, and I've said this before, this might be a hot take. Well, this is a hot take, actually, because anybody I've ever talked to about it has been like, what? I'm like, it's a big deal. Last time I was in, was it the last time I was in Los Angeles? I don't know. I had In-N-Out Burger, and I just don't know what the big deal is. It just tasted like a burger and fries to me. Sorry, my American brothers and sisters, but I've had way better than In-N-Out Burger. And I'm not saying In-N-Out Burger was bad. I just was, you gotta go to In-N-Out Burger. You gotta get a bro. You gotta go. All right, all right, we're going to In-N-Out Burger. We went to In-N-Out Burger. and here come, look at this. I'm just like, yeah, it's good. It just, I'm not like, whoa, why don't we have these in Canada? Meh. It was fine. It was fine. Like, it wasn't awful. Maybe my expectations were way too high. I don't know. Maybe that's a hot take. In-N-Out Burger, I don't see what the big deal is, folks. Josh Stevens sends it $1.99 and says, happy belated birthday, Dave. Oh, well, thank you, Josh. I appreciate that. Yes, it was. It was my birthday this past Saturday. I turned the big 46. The big 46. And it was good. As you get older, you don't do too much, but it was good. Bruce popped by and we hung out and he took me out to dinner. And I hadn't had pizza in a long time. I think the last time I had pizza was actually the first night or the first day we were on set to shoot It's Me, Billy, Chapter 2. We ordered about, 12 or 14 large pizzas from this local mom and pop pizza shop. And that was the day that we arrived there. So it wasn't our first day of shooting. We were shooting the next day, but we ordered a bunch of pizza. We did that the first chapter as well. And that was November of 2023. So that's the last time I had pizza. So like a year and a half ago. And when Bruce said, what do you want to do for your birthday? I said, I don't know. I don't really know. He wanted to take me out to dinner. And I said, you know what? I kind of feel like some pizza. I haven't had pizza in a long time. So we went out for pizza. So it was great. And then on Sunday, my friend Nicole took me out for brunch to this old breakfast place. Because for whatever reason, I was like, I want to have like eggs and bacon and toast at noon. That's what I want to have. I'm feeling that. So she was like, all right, let's do it. So we did it. And I hung out with her for a few hours and that was great. And so, yeah, it was good. It was a good birthday weekend. The big 46. The big 46. It's hard to believe, folks. It is hard to believe, but, that's what I'm at. That's where I'm at. But, it's funny. As you get older, right, you really appreciate just sort of the quieter moments with, with friends or with family. It's not like this big, and I've never been this way anyway, but I've never been, somebody to have like big wild parties. And I mean, maybe for my 50th, maybe my 50th will have to be a party. I don't know. I had a party for my 30th. So maybe my 50th will have to be a party. I'm not sure. But yes, it was a good birthday this past Saturday, May the 24th. Thank you, Josh. I appreciate that very, very much. Let me see here. Let me see. Tab that says White Castle. Everybody's just talking about fast food now. Typical Americans. Ching. Tab that says, where the fuck is In-N-Out Burger located? I love Burger King burgers. I think they're on the West Coast, I think. More of a West Coast thing. There might be some on the East Coast. I'm not sure. But apparently it's amazing, Tabitha. And I was like, didn't do much for me. Brandon says, Dave will be the same age until June 9th. Same age till June 9th, and then you go younger, right? I mean, you go back to 45, I think, is how you're going. If only we could. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you. Let me see here. That makes sense. Next gen, the black and white version of the slower scene had me taking baths for weeks. Josh Stevens says Gen X rules. Gen X, yes. I am a Gen Xer. On the tail end of the Gen Xers, but I am on the Gen Xer. All right, folks, let's get back to hot takes. The chat has slowed down. We're talking about In-N-Out Burger and generations now. I've still got like a half hour in this show. What are your hot takes? Come on, there's 107 of you in the chat. By the way, there's 107 of you in the chat, and there is only 36 likes on this video. Now, we are sitting at 29,936 subscribers. We are closing in on the 30,000 subscriber mark. So if you are not subscribed and you're watching live right now, consider doing so. It's free, and it will help me get to the 30,000 mark, and you've done something good, and who knows, the universe might reward you with something good. Hey, they helped Dave get to 30,000 subscribers. We're going to help them. But yeah, horror hot takes, ladies and gentlemen. Horror hot takes. Big Papa Musk. Elon Musk is in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. It's amazing to see you here. $2 says, all Chucky and Freddy movies suck aside from the first. There you go, folks. Elon Musk has spoken. Nice to see you here, Elon. Breezy says, Dave, you're a Gemini. I am. Yep. May 24th. I am a Gemini. Daz says, well, iconic. The Halloween 4 ending would have been better thematically, emotionally, if it was Rachel that killed Jamie instead of the foster. If it was Rachel that killed Jamie instead of the foster mother who has maybe 3 minutes of screen time. Well, the foster mother didn't kill. Do you mean Jamie kill Rachel? I think is what you mean, right? Jamie kill Rachel? I think that's what you mean. Not Rachel kill Jamie. I'm assuming you mean Jamie kill Rachel. Because Rachel killed Jamie doesn't make any sense. If you do mean Jamie kill Rachel, then excuse me, Rachel that Jamie killed. Excuse me, I read that wrong. My apologies. Stop your typing, ladies and gentlemen. I found it out. I figured it out. Rachel that Jamie killed. My apologies. You did say it right. I am an epic failure. I got it wrong, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the one that got it wrong. That deserves 2. Why not one more? There you go. Yes, you are right. That would have been very shocking. And then you just end the movie like that, and you never make another Halloween movie ever again. Imagine that. That would be pretty epic. I think that'd be cool. That'd be very cool. The Boogeyman is coming. Child's Play 2019 is easily the best of the major slasher remakes. Ooh, as it was an entertaining movie that did something unique with the material. Now, does that also include going back to the remake of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre? Or are you talking about more of the 2010 remakes? Which would include, you got Friday the 13th in 2009, but, we can include that. Yeah, that could be considered a hot take. But you're not comparing it to but is it a hot take, though? Because your comparison is to the modern remakes, not necessarily the original Child's Play. Right? You're comparing, if you had said that Child's Play 2019 is better than Child's Play from 1988, 87, 88, 88, I think, that would be, whoa. But I like where you're going with that. That's interesting. Let me see here. Hot take, Brandon says, there has never been the need for a religious possession movie since Freakin' dropped the mic 52 years ago. They've all been poor facsimiles of that film and kind of pointless. Look, I think in principle, I agree with what you're saying. I think The Exorcist is one of the granddaddies, the granddaddy of possession movies. And maybe it's my age, our age. And that's not to say, before I say what I'm about to say, that's not to say that there isn't other possession movies that go a bit deeper. Not all of them are surface level gook. But what made The Exorcist so strong and why The Exorcist is such a great movie, and I understand if you're, and maybe even if you're not, you might be my age and you still think this way, and that's fine. But generally speaking, and if you're younger, you're 22 and you love The Exorcist, that's great too. I'm speaking generally. It is dated, right? It's 1973, so the effects are dated. It's a slow burn. But what's so great about The Exorcist, and I often say this to younger people, to younger fans, I will say that if you're going to watch a movie that is way before your time, make sure that you remind yourself that you go in with realistic expectations and understand that you're watching a movie and watch it within the context and the confines of its release, right? We are so inundated and saturated and desensitized nowadays that watching a movie like The Exorcist could be perceived, or Halloween or Black Christmas, could be perceived as boring and slow and not interesting. But The Exorcist, when it came out in 1973, there's a reason why for many years it was called the scariest movie of all time. And it's not, there's reasons for that. And I'm trying to censor myself here and not go off on a big tangent. But I will just say that the strength of The Exorcist, very much like the strength of Jaws, by the way, there's parallels here. The Exorcist is a character-driven film. Most horror movies, just plain horror movies, like on the surface level of the not the subgenres, because once you dive into certain subgenres of horror, this, it starts to expand a bit. But if you just classify something a horror movie, most horror movies, surface level horror movies, are plot-driven films. Whereas once you get into more psychological, they're character-driven. And The Exorcist is a character-driven film. Jaws is a character-driven film. Now, that doesn't mean that there's no plot, that the plot isn't driving some of the narrative. Well, of course. But, some movies are plot-driven. Some movies are character-driven. The Mission Impossible movies are plot-driven movies, right? You know what I mean? Whereas Jaws is character-driven. And the reason The Exorcist has staying power is it's not because of the exorcism necessarily, or, it's certainly not because of the effects, and it's certainly not because of although the effects are still great today. It is about the characters. It's about, because really, and I'm not a religious person, not at all. But The Exorcist is about, essentially, it's about a priest who's lost his faith, who feels guilty about his relationship with his mother. I'm giving the cliff notes here. Who's lost his faith, doesn't believe it anymore. And through Father Marin, and through this little girl, a little girl he's never met, he meets the little girl, but by the time he meets Reagan is already possessed, right? So for all intents and purposes, he meets a girl he's never met, right? He's never met the real 13-year-old girl. And by the end of the movie, his faith takes over, and this priest sacrifices himself. The ultimate sacrifice, which is death, right? Sacrifices himself to save a little girl he's never met, has no relationship with. It's not like it's his daughter or his his niece or somebody he knows. Has no idea who the fuck Reagan McNeil is. I don't know, and why should I care? That's what The Exorcist is about. At its core, it's about identity. It's about grieving and loss and redemption and faith. And that's what it's about. And then, you get the 360-degree head turn and fuck me, and your mother sucks cocks in hell and green slime and all that's great. But without the core, without that story to draw you in, and the mother who's an actress who doesn't know what to do. I mean, we can't forget about her as well, right? The mother, and oh my God, what am I going to do? And science and faith, and we see science and faith colliding together, in the movie. And do we do this or do we not do this? And why not this? And that doesn't exist. And that we see all that. That is all happening in the movie. And then you got some weird levitation thing towards the end. You know what I mean? And all that's important. Don't get me wrong. That's important. You got to have that. You got to have the dramatization, right? You got to have, all that. But that doesn't work if you don't have the drama and the character and the heart to draw people in. Because then it just becomes what Brandon says, just another, Pope's exorcist, or, whatever the case is, or all the other exorcisms that rely more on the sensationalism, more on the bombastic, wild, crazy stuff and all the effects and the wild, all that. They rely more on that than the character and the drama of what is this really about? Jaws is the same thing. Jaws is a character-driven. Yeah, you got the shark. Yeah, you got the shark. But you could have a shark movie if Jaws. What is it really about? It's about this chief, this new chief who's from New York, who's a fish out of water. He's a fish. You get it? He's a fish out of water as the new chief of Amity Island, excuse me, it's another horror. Amity Island, right? And he's kind of new and he's still building relationships and he's new. He hasn't been on the job that long. And then you have this young guy, Richard Dreyfuss from the Oceanographic Institute, right? This young, hot, rich kind of guy who learns to be humbled, who learns hard work and and he comes to the island and he's kind of he's a bit of a fish out of water too, right? Not as much as Martin, but I'm just saying there's a bit of that there, right? And then you got what's his face? Robert Shaw, the great Robert Shaw, rest in peace. Well, they're all dead except for Richard Dreyfuss. And he's the disgruntled sort of, charismatic, shark hunter who's seen things, who's been there. All right, Captain. All right. He's the pirate. He's the pirate. I mean, not literally, but you kind of see what I'm saying, right? And it's about the dynamic. It's about their relationship. They're polar opposites. There's no reason why these three, I mean, maybe Martin and what's his face? Hooper, maybe they might be friends. But really at the end of the day, there's no reason why these three should be hanging out. Like these three going fishing on this boat is ridiculous. You know what I mean? And of course you hire three actors who are amazing actors and bring that to life. And it's about their relationships. It's about, Martin learning to go out onto the sea and not being afraid of the water. And it's about, Hooper and his relationship with Quint and Quint, and that whole dynamic. And it's a character-driven film. And then, you got some fucking shark that's tearing up the thing. But you could take the shark away and you could put you could put those three in another situation, right? And I'm not saying the shark isn't important. I'm not saying it's not about a shark. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that all that's not important. And the bum, 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 all of it is important. I'm just saying the reason why Jaws and the reason why The Exorcist and the reason why a lot of horror movies that are more character-driven than plot-driven have so much rewatch value is because you connect to the characters. You connect to the emotion. You connect with what they're going through. You know what I mean? And you live vicariously through that. And that is so important, and that's why The Exorcist endures today. It's because it's so fascinating to watch this dynamic play out. And it's timeless in a lot of ways. Anyway, I went off way on a tangent there, but you know me. I get excited. About shit like that. Sorry about that, folks. I'm going off on a tangent. Josh Stevens, oh no, I got that. Happy birthday. Thank you. Let me just see here. I just want to make sure I haven't missed. I thought something else came in. Let me just see here. Oh yes, the Bad Chase sends in $4.99, says, hot take, Sinners is the best horror movie of the year so far. Very good story and beautifully shot. But is that a hot take though? I don't think that's a hot take. I've heard many people say it's a terrific movie and one of the best films of the year so far. So I don't think that's a hot take. A hot take is something that is the polar opposite, that most people feel is the polar opposite of how you feel. I don't think that's a hot take. But I'm really glad you liked the movie. Tanner Bowles says, thank you, Tanner. Another hot take is, I think The Conjuring is better and more scarier than The Exorcist. Well, you know what? I don't know if that's... I could see that being a hot take, but I understand that too. I mean, again, I don't know how old you are. Maybe it's an age thing. I'm not really sure. Again, watching The Exorcist in 1973. And again, we have to remember too that America especially, but certainly the world, was a far more religious world at that time. A far more naive, and I say this with all due respect, a far more naive world at that time. It was the early 70s. And so to watch a movie that felt so real, like The Exorcist in 1973, people were walking out of there terrified. Now, a lot of these people, because it was a far more religious world at the time, may have been Catholic themselves, for sure. I understand that. And nobody had seen anything like it. You have to remember that a lot of the times, it seems funny to us now because we've literally seen everything and we're desensitized. But there was a time where somebody was the first. And a lot of these firsts came at a time when the world was very different. And the world was far more naive. And the world was far more innocent. And the world was far more simple. And, to watch a movie like The Exorcist in 1973 would have been absolutely terrifying. Not just the effects, but seeing something so real, the psychological and the power of suggestion of what's happening. A little girl, a sweet, cute, nobody had seen anything like that, ladies and gentlemen. You have to understand, nobody had seen anything like that. Seeing this little girl transform like that, it was shocking. Your mother sucks cocks in hell. We can laugh about that now, folks. We can laugh about it. It can be memed. Ha, 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 ha. 1973? Are you kidding me? We don't think about that. That's how you have to watch that movie and movies like them. Jesus Christ, no pun intended. Holy cow. Imagine that. Like, shocking. Absolutely terrifying to see a little girl on a big screen in 1973 when, Jesus, it was a much more world. Your mother sucks cocks in hell. Holy fuck. And if you're Catholic and religious sitting in that seat, oh my God. Oh my God. Like, we don't think about that now because it's just, we're so like, I can just go on my phone right now and type in the weirdest crazy shit and have it in literally 0.5 seconds. You know what I mean? But 52 years ago, it was a very different world. And seeing, again, I get it. It's funny now. And especially if you're young, you're 19, you're 20, you're 22, it doesn't resonate with you. I get it. I totally get it. But in 1973, seeing and hearing that was shocking. Shocking. It would be like as shocking as hearing a child out in public say that out in public. Imagine if you're grocery shopping, right? It's a different circumstance. I get it. But imagine if you're grocery shopping and you suddenly hear a kid say something like, "Fuck you, mom, go suck a dick." Like, you hear a little kid, it's funny, right? It's funny. But that shock that you get, that initial shock that you get, the what the fuck? That shock that you get is what they were feeling in the theater watching a little girl say that, but under very different circumstances. It's that, oh my God. It's not funny. It's terrifying because you incorporate everything around it, right? Everything in that moment. And doing what she did to herself with that crucifix. Oh my God! What are we doing? Even today to see that would be shocking. Even today to see that would be a little shocking. Seeing that in 1970, people, you have no idea. This is what I'm talking about. And listen, I wasn't born in 1973. I wasn't born until 79. But I can imagine, like I sit there, I go, Jesus, fuck, that must have been wild. That must have been crazy. That must have been insane. Seeing a little girl say that and then she's doing you know what with a crucifix to you know where on her you know self. Whoa! What? And it's a crucifix! And she's 13, so she's probably a virgin. Right? Like, it's, the people would have been shocked. Stunned, terrified. And when you look at it and you think about it through that lens, you appreciate, or maybe not, but you appreciate when people say it was the scariest film of all time. And why some people still today feel that way. No, the effects have gotten better. No, it's not the scariest film of all time by today's standards. No, but the psychological ramifications and residual effects and what that did to an audience and to an entire generation, yeah, at that time in the 70s, terrifying, absolutely terrifying. And I can only imagine, because I wasn't born yet, I can only imagine what that must have been like in a much more naive and world, sitting in a movie theater watching a 13-year-old girl say that and do that to herself. Oh my God! Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Frank, what's going on, Frank? Frank Riker, frankly speaking, Riker. Frank, throw your channel into the chat, or somebody do it. I want to get Frank some love on his channel. Frank's got his own solo channel as well called Frankly Speaking, or Frankly Speaking Riker. And Frank's got some great content over there. I love it when you go live, Frank. It's fun. And do the comparisons with the Rotten Tomatoes scores. Some really fun shit. Hot take. Thank you, Frank, for the super chat. Hot take. The Thorn trilogy of Halloween starts with Halloween 2. Michael writing Samhain. Dr. Rogers, who wants Michael back, was the leader of the cult, then passed the leadership on to Dr. Wynn. Well, I guess it depends on what version we're talking about, right? Because, well, wait a minute. No, aren't we talking about the TV cut of Halloween 1? Isn't it the TV cut of Halloween 1 where we see Samhain? And the TV cut I've never really considered canon because it was only done to extend the runtime for network television. But you know what? I mean, but that's neither here nor there. It's a hot take. Maybe. It's an interesting take. It's an interesting take, Frank. Why is my internet feels like it's slowing? I don't know why. It could be. I thought though it was the TV cut. I thought it was the TV cut of Halloween 1 that had the Samhain on the door. Josh Stevens says, I don't think it was just the TV cut. Oh, so shows sister. Right. Yeah, not Samhain, shows sister. That's right. Is there one that shows Samhain? No. Okay, wait a minute. The classroom, Dave. The classroom. Right. I'm getting Samhain and sister mixed up. Frank, my apologies. Yes, the classroom. Over here. And here. No. And here. Yes, of course, Frank. I'm sorry. I've been doing this now for, almost an hour and a half. My brain's fried. Okay, I get what you're saying. Yeah, you know what? Maybe you're right. Okay, hot take? Sure. I'll take it. I'll take the hot take. Sorry, Frank. My apologies. What the hell is wrong with me? Jeez. Josh McKenna, member for 19 months. Thank you, Josh. Says, I agree. Some people call everything garbage. I like the new Lilo and Stitch. Amazing. I don't think it's trash at all. It has a 69%, and I hear some people calling it a travesty and epic fail. Oh, the internet's just full of people that don't know their asses from their elbows. It can be drawn as simple as that. It can just be down to as simple as that. Like the new the new cast for the Harry Potter. Now, I guess if you're a big Harry Potter fan, but the cast for the new Harry Potter, the 3 new kids, they were announced today. I looked at them and I said, yeah, that looks great to me. And everyone's like, I'm like, they look like, the middle looks like Harry Potter. He just doesn't have a glass. The guy on the right looks like Weasley. And the girl on the left looks like she could be Hermione. I'm like, it looks good to me. I'm like, I don't know what the problem is. Here's the thing. People just like being outraged. It's manufactured outrage. They just like being outraged. I'm convinced of it. They just, that's just what they do. Look at her. All right, whatever. 69% Lilo and Stitch, haven't seen it, didn't grow up with it, but 69%, that's a pretty good score. I mean, that means nearly 7 out of every critic's really liked it. So, I mean, listen, if I made a movie that got 69% on Rotten Tomatoes, of course listen, everybody wants everybody to love everything you do. Every filmmaker, every artist wants everybody to love what you do. So every filmmaker would love to have 98% on Rotten Tomatoes, but that's not realistic because this is art. I'm just saying that if I made a movie that got 69 or 70% on Rotten Tomatoes, I'd be like, that's pretty good. I'd be happy with that. That means 7 out of 10 critics really liked it. So there you go. I'm good. That means I will likely get hired and worked again. And worked again? I will likely get hired and work again. You know what I'm saying? So I think I'm pretty good. But yeah, no, I know what you mean. KG sends in $2. Thank you, KG, and says, the Child's Play theme is the best horror theme. Ooh. Are you talking about, now I'm not as familiar with the Child's Play theme. Are you talking about the theme that plays during the end credits of the original Child's Play? Is that the Child's Play theme? Because I really do like that theme. Frank, Dave's credibility just left. My brain walked out, Frank. That's what happened. My brain walked out. I totally, for whatever reason, I was thinking the sister on the door. I don't know why, Frank. I don't know why. It's brain fart time, Frank. I just had a big epic fail. A completely epic fail. All right, we'll go for a few more minutes here, folks, and then we will call it a day in a few more. Unless anybody else has got any hot takes. Bobby Hall says a possible hot take: Alien 3 is miles better than Alien Romulus. Is that a hot take? If you had said Alien 3 is better than Aliens, ooh. Everybody seems to really love Aliens. I really do like Aliens a lot, but I think if you were to ask me my favorite, it would be Alien Resurrection. No. No, it'd be the original. I like the original, but you know what? It's more my pace, more my style, more my jam, more that slow burn. I do like Aliens, but they're two completely different genres. One is a bona fide action movie, and then the other is a horror movie. And so it's almost very difficult to compare them. Both are really good. Both are equally good. But there's something about that, the claustrophobia and the eeriness of that first Alien film that I really like. Frank says, are you sure your dad let you watch Halloween 2 in the hospital and not the TV H1 cut? He did. I'd already seen them. Yeah, that's such a great memory. I've told this before, but I was in the hospital for about 12 days when I was 15. And I actually, I won't get into the whole thing. I was in the hospital for about 12 days. And my mom, to cheer me up, bought me Halloween 2 on VHS. And like the original pumpkin cover, not like the original pumpkin, like the original poster cover, and it was great. And my dad came to visit me. I was in sort of isolation because of what I had. And so I had a room to myself, and I was down like this hall with a room to myself. It was great. And my dad came over one night to sit with me, to hang out. And we watched Halloween 2. It's a memory that maybe I'll do a video on that. It's a great, of course, that never gets views, but people don't give a shit. But it was a great memory. And they wheeled, I'm talking too many movies. They wheeled the TV into the room, or maybe it was already, I think it already was in the room, with the VCR, and we popped in Halloween 2. We turned off the lights. Again, I'm in my own separate, it's almost like a dorm room. It's a separate room. I wasn't in like a big room with a bunch of people. No, I'm in my own room. And we watched Halloween 2. My dad had never seen it, and my dad loved it. And he loved the fact that we were watching Halloween 2 that takes place in a hospital. The Haddonfield Memorial Hospital in Halloween 2 is like there's nobody there. It's like dark and, dimly lit. It's like, and where we were in this hospital, and this was a big hospital. This was the Children's Hospital of Eastern Ontario, which is a big kids hospital in Ottawa. This is a big hospital. not a small town hospital. And, but where I was on the floor that I was on, and kind of like isolation kind of thing, like where I was, there wasn't, like, it was dimly lit. Like the desk out front was kind of dimly lit. And this is like January, but it's kind of dimly lit. Like there wasn't a lot of action because it's a quieter thing. It's more like an ICU kind of thing. You know what I mean? So there's not a lot of action going on. And so the pace of the environment that we were in matched the pace of the hospital on Halloween too. And it was just really cool. And my dad loved it. He was all into it, you know, and it's a memory that I will never forget having with my father. That would have been January of 1995. So I was turning 16 that year, but still, you know, I was an older kid, but still a kid, you know, so I was, you know, at the kids' hospital. And yeah, it was a lot of fun, really fun, really great memory. Brandon says Dave fell into a vat of toxic waste and is radioactive to this day, folks. It's true. It's true. I am. It's true. Oh yeah. 100%. 100%. I mean, this microphone isn't even plugged in. It's just when I speak, it electrifies. And actually, I'm not even connected to the internet right now. You're just hearing me. It's just the way I am. All right, folks, listen, that's going to do it for me for this episode of McRae Live. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I really, really appreciate it. Listen, if you're watching after the fact, jump into the comment section and let me know your thoughts on some more hot horror takes. What are they? Remember, a hot take is something that the general the general consensus is the opposite, right? So you like something that most people don't like, or you don't like something that most people do like. That would be considered a horror hot take. Saying that you hate Freddy's Dead is not a hot take. Saying you love Freddy's Dead and it's one of the best in the franchise, that would be a hot take. Saying that you think Robert Englund's portrayal in Freddy's Dead is the best in the franchise, that would be a hot take. Saying you don't like it, that's not a hot take. Just so we kind of I don't mean to sound pretentious when I say that, or condescending, I should say. Some people kind of, I think, get it back to front. You know, I just want to make it clear. But anyway, yeah, jump into the comment section. Let me know your thoughts. I would love to know. Thank you to all the super chats that came in today. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you to my moderators, of course. Frank Riker is in here. Brandon Collins. Tabitha was in here earlier as well. Really, really appreciate that. And yeah, if you want to follow me on social media, you can. All my links are in the description. Check them out until your heart's content. And when your heart is content, check them out again. That's going to do it for me. In the meantime and in between time, I will talk to you soon. Alrighty. Cheers.